Welcome to the Skol Purple Podcast. As finally get to play that video, the Vikings get a win at U.S. Bank Stadium East. May I say?
That's right.
That's what it felt like on
Thanks.
TV. So Carson, Mike, and Tony are here for this postcast fan express line, as we like to call it. Where we give or express our takes from the game, give our thoughts, all that good stuff. So appreciate you tuning in and looking forward to talking about this game that even though it kind of felt like yay, kind of stealing some of Tony's thunder, but a win is a win. A win is a win. And I felt like we said that 13 times last year, which we probably did. But hey, a win's better than a loss, right? Or is it, if you're trying to tank for or a collapse for Caleb? But we'll accept it for now, I guess.
I think for
go
me,
ahead, Tony.
it's not, and I saw a lot of this on Twitter X today. People saying, "Well, all these people wishing we were tanking," or blah 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 blah. Look, I don't know a lot of people that are actively cheering for this team to lose. I mean, I'm sure there are.
You weren't in my living room today, were you?
I mean, there's always some weirdo out there but I think the difference for me is I am more
Weirdo.
accepting.
I'm the weirdo.
I'm the
the problem. It's me, as Taylor Swift would say.
Well, maybe Carson is rooting for a loss, but yeah, I'm not going to ever actively root for a loss, generally speaking. But I can be more at peace with a loss, and I think that's kind of where I've been. Is that I want them to win. Of course, I want this team to win every single week. I'm not going to actively cheer for them to lose, but if they end up having a really rough season, I'm not going to like it, but I also have the, I guess, future enough looking to go, like I get how it could help the team in the long run, but I'm not going to cheer for that. I would rather have us win every week. So yeah, way to not lose, Vikings. There we go.
Mike, what are your overall takeaways, initial thoughts here from Vikings 21-13 win over Carolina?
Well, I don't think anybody really wants a team to tank. You want your team to get a better draft pick, and if we're not any good, what's the season for? But you're still showing up every Sunday. You're still cooking the meals. You're still enjoying the build-up and all of that. So you always want your team to be winning, even if they're 3-10. You still hope you show up and do all that and invest that emotion into your team that you do all year long. You still want to see them, so you can talk crap for at least a week. You get at least 1 week. Hopefully, there's a few people who are Panthers fans this week that you can kind of rub it in their face a little bit. That's why you show up, and it's not always about, are we going to win the Super Bowl? We're probably not, but you still show up with the hope and the
still
belief.
He's got that little bit of optimism in there. We're
always.
Probably not. We're
always.
Probably not.
But it happens, right? Stranger things happen than this. So, and our offense
Netflix.
Offense didn't look great. We know that's the best part of our team, and so defense shows up today, and you can kind of get a taste of what we can do. And if the offense is right there behind them, then this looks a lot like a much different game, as it should have. But we saw improvements where we need to see improvements. We know our offense is better than that, so hopefully we can stop saying that. But it was overall a good win. I mean, the NFL is a tough game. They don't want to go to 0-4 either, no matter what. So they're playing the best they can. They're bringing the fire just as much as we are. So it's going to be a close game, and we overcame a lot of obstacles this one. The first half looked like it was the same exact downturn. We're going to move the ball, get rid of the ball, give it back. We're going to create penalties when it's most important not to. And it just felt the same. Second half, we came in with a little bit of fire. After that first Panthers drive, though, they were doing the same thing teams have done to us all year long, which is just get 4 or 5 yards and convert the third down and go. They spend 8 minutes walking down the field. And luckily we were able to create that turnover and turn it because they were doing the same thing to us. And I think that had a huge factor in the second half. Just that momentum shift. It's very real. It's not just a thing people talk about. And this is a momentum over the course of a few games. It's not just momentum within that game. We had something go our way and turn in our direction. I think that flipped the whole feel of that game and future games, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
I like that you said that about momentum because there are some people that don't believe momentum exists. Shut up. Just shut up. You know that that's not true. Momentum exists in this game. It exists in sports in general. Like, don't tell me, no, momentum doesn't exist. It exists. Okay.
You're either waiting for something bad to happen or you expect good things to happen. That's momentum.
Right. Well, and also I want to quickly speak on the turnover luck, and then we'll get to RC on hoops here in a moment. But the turnover luck thing, like that is a myth. You create your own luck with turnovers. Like now, I will say where the ball bounces on fumbles, maybe that part of it is more luck. That part maybe is more luck, but the actual losing the football, the actual throwing of the interception, that's not luck. I'm sorry. It's not luck. Your quarterback threw the interception. Your running back fumbled the football. Whoever fumbled the football, whatever. It's just like the people that come up with that stuff. It's like, no, like that's. Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox and let's get to RC on hoops. What's good, y'all? Finally, the Vikings have scratched. They scratched the Panthers where it counts, I guess, right? And my dad, in full preparation to lose, as I think most of us were, as Vikings fans.
Getting the whiskey out.
Before I die, getting that beer out, whatever.
Well, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the viral Instagram video that's been going around, but that was the tongue-in-cheek tweet that I had at maybe midway through or maybe the first part of the third quarter. And I said, I'm about this close to grabbing some kitchen knives and making an Instagram video in a bikini. So.
I saw that. Yeah.
You guys probably noticed I shut down after like the second. I stopped paying attention to anything. I was just like, don't get too mad. Go make some coffee. I stopped responding to texts. That's my MO, just so you guys know.
Humor is my defense mechanism, so I just
Me too.
Insane Britney Spears there for just a moment.
That's right. I am also a humorous defense. Whatever you said. I don't usually talk for a living, so just in case anybody's wondering, I actually do. But anyways, we're so much better than the Bears and the Bengals. I don't know if we're really that much better than anybody because Carolina is about as bad as they get right now in the NFL, I think. Like, I don't think they're a good football team. We're better than the Bears? Yeah, probably. But we could probably still lose to the Bears if we turn the ball over like we did today.
What was the final on the Bears game today? They were taking it to Denver last time I looked.
It was tied, actually, last.
Of course
it was tied at 28 because the Bears are the Bears. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson's on the Broncos, so
that's right.
Kind of balances out. Who knows what's going to happen?
That's right. Let's see.
Got to break out that danger witch.
The Broncos won 31-28.
Hey.
We are better than the Bears.
That's true. And we're as good as the Broncos. So there you go.
Yeah.
And the Bengals, apparently.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Hey, we have a cheaper quarterback.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I don't know what's going on in Cincinnati.
Oh, we got Mike. Lost your camera, Mike.
Oh,
You still with
great.
us?
Can you hear me?
We can
Yeah,
hear you okay.
we can still hear you.
Yeah.
Well,
All right. But
there you go.
anyways, there he is. So let's talk a little bit about this game. Let's start with the first half. I think it was a tale of two halves again for the Vikings. It seems like that's been the case in the Kevin O'Connell era, and I think we do have to eventually have this discussion of like, why can't the Vikings put together a full game under Kevin O'Connell? Because they haven't. They really have not put together a full game under KOC. Now, am I saying, oh, that means they need to fire him and get rid of him and all this stuff? No, I'm not going that far. I'm just saying there needs to be a little self-reflection, I think, if you're KOC, saying, okay, why can't we put together a full game? Well, obviously, turnover is a huge part of it this season, but last year they didn't turn the ball over a ton. So that's a question I'm interested in asking you guys from that first half. We'll start with Mike. What were your thoughts from the first half, and why can't we put together a full game here? JJ Vikings, by the way, quickly chiming in. Skol Vikings, love y'all. Skol to the bull. He's
right.
feeling it. Appreciate y'all.
That's right.
Thanks for chiming
My
in,
guy right
JJ.
there.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we're
Um,
excited to hopefully maybe see the Vikings improve it more. But anyways, Mike, go ahead.
First half was rough all the way around. I think it was hands in your head in your hands cut type of play around every corner. And I think with the KOC, it's almost feels like that situation where the head coach, who's also the offense coordinator or play caller, needs to give up the play calling duties, because too many times they're waiting for the call and we're getting out of the huddle with 12 seconds to go. And that just throws not just that play out of whack, the next one, because now you're like, oh, I need to get one in quick so that doesn't happen again, or whatever it is. There's a lot of thinking that goes on as a head coach. And when you're calling plays and it's going crazy, it's not smooth for us. It's not a rhythm. There is no rhythm. So he's thinking about every single play call. It isn't like it should be. A offense coordinator is thinking plays ahead, and I don't think you can do that effectively when you're a head coach, especially a young one, second year. He needs to just focus on the players, have another guy call the plays for him, focus on those things, and he focuses on the little details. And maybe eventually you can go back to calling plays once you figure out how to be a head coach on the sideline, because it's not just hanging out. There's head coaches that don't call any plays, but they're the most important person on that sideline still. So I think it's a lot of that. I think he should give up those play calling duties, and we're calling plays. We're not calling series of plays, and it's just herky jerky all the way around. And we changed it in the second half, but first half was rough.
Yeah. Tony?
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of your takes there. I think that the biggest thing for me, and this goes back to what we talked about, really week 1, week 2, last week, right? There's an undisciplined nature to this team right now that I can't seem to shake. And I don't know if it's all falling on KOC. I don't want to say that it does, but it just felt like, or feels like, that this team just doesn't have a solid grasp on how to play clean football. And the 2 interceptions by Kirk, the one where it got popped up, that's kind of a weird one. It's like, O-line probably should have played a bit better. Pocket awareness, blah, 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 blah. But, those types of things happen. The first one was bad. The first one was a bad throw. It was a bad throw. It was a bad read of the defense. It was, no matter how you shake it. And look, every quarterback, for the most part, is going to have those every once in a while. But it's just, when you add up everything over the last 3 weeks into this week, I just don't know what's going on. And I don't know if it's everybody's kind of got, honestly, this is probably the best way I can describe it. It feels like everybody on this team, for the most part, minus maybe this inexperienced defense, kind of has the yips. It kind of feels like the offense has the yips a little bit, where and that's like top down. Like Kevin O'Connell seems like he's got the yips. Cousins seems like he has the yips. Probably about the only guy that doesn't kinda is Jefferson, but I mean, even then, like I feel like I don't know, the weird fumble out of the end zone. It's just it's all just feels off. So I agree with Mike. He didn't necessarily say it just now, but at the beginning, like that's been the most frustrating part of this season so far, is we went into the season saying the offense isn't the problem. The offense is going to be fine. It's really the defense that we got to worry about. So far, this inexperienced defense, while not amazing, has kind of been at least somewhat consistent in what they do well and don't do well. The offense, I just don't know. I don't know who we are week to week. This week, the run game looked a bit better. I'm sure we'll touch on that, but my goodness, we'll just keep going 1 week at a time. Obviously, we'll get there, but big matchup coming this next week. So at least we're back at home. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Yep. As you look through the statistics here, as I just tried to get those done, put those at the bottom of the screen here for our video listeners. Before we get into the running game, I want to talk about the running game. But my dad basically saying the same thing that Mike was saying about having someone take over. And I'm guessing you were meaning Wes Phillips as well, Mike, to take over the offensive coordinator duties or the play calling duties, I should say. Because I don't know who else would. I mean, maybe the quarterback coach, but doubtful. It'd be Wes Phillips. So, but here's the thing, guys. Those 2 interceptions, that was not play calling. That was, and that's probably at least 10 points that came off the board with those two penalties right there, are those 2 turnovers by Cousins. So you're talking about a 31-13 game maybe then, or even 31-6 maybe, because the Panthers offense didn't score a touchdown. Without that pick 6, this game's completely different. So anyways, what did you guys...
Can I ask you guys one thing?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just thought about this because this is something that ran through my head. It just popped in my head again. So going back to the Wes Phillips O'Connell thing, I've never been a big fan of, especially offensive coordinators, calling plays from the field. I always feel like having that more bird's eye view from the booth would offer so much more, I don't know, clarity on what you can see and not see. Because if you've ever been on a football field, which I know all of us have in some capacity, it's not easy to see. I mean, these guys are massive. So having that elevated view to look down on the field, I just have always been less of a fan of the field calling or calling plays from the field versus calling plays from the booth. I'd love to get, I know we're kind of rambling, but I'd love to get both of your takes on that, because I think that would be the benefit of maybe having Phillips, if not call plays, but at least just, I don't know, maybe have a bit more of a clearer view of the field.
Yeah, I think that's part of the issue. You're still relying on Wes Phillips to give you information down there at the field. Whoever's up there is relaying information down to O'Connell. Yeah. And that's causing delays, I believe, and indecision. He's thinking of a play to run, and then Phillips chimes in and says, hey, look, they're running cover 2 during this. And now he's thinking, should I run a different play? Play goes in 15 seconds later than it should. Kirk doesn't have the time to get up there, make any changes, read the defense. He just pretty much has to get up and go. You're still relying on that person up there in the booth. So if you trust him, maybe they don't trust him to call it, but he's been, they've been buddies for a while, right? They've been working together for a little bit. If you don't trust him to call the plays, then he probably shouldn't even be there. What do you need the offense coordinator for? Well, obviously more than that, but yeah, I think I like it a lot. Like you said, there's so much more you can see from up there than you can from the field. And that's why you always have a guy up there. But instead of relaying it down to the field, just have that guy up there where he doesn't have to relay it to anybody. He just makes the call.
Yeah, not playing the telephone game.
Correct.
Well, I don't know if you'd have to play the telephone game. You probably can just get it from your headphones, your headset. But no,
they need to, it needs to be via a Motorola Razr.
That's what the blue tent's for when there's no injuries. It's a phone booth.
That's right.
It's a phone booth.
It needs to be a rotary phone.
A phone
Dang
booth.
it.
Funny. But no, I think anything that they could gain from being upstairs is being relayed to them. That's my take. Maybe not. I'm not there.
It takes time to relay, doesn't it? That's a few seconds.
It does, but
maybe there's a back and forth at that point.
Yeah.
I see too often we're getting out of the huddle late for an NFL team to be confused, going to the line or hurrying. You can tell they're waiting for the call. We haven't got the call, and you look down and there's 15 seconds on the play clock. And then they're just hurrying to the, that's not how you operate an offense. And I don't think it's because of lack of effort or undisciplined. At times it probably appears that way. Tony, you've mentioned they look undisciplined, but I think at times they just don't have any direction to go off of when they're expecting direction. There's times where you need to go and run those plays, not knowing anything from the sideline. But the expectation during that time is you wait for the play call to come to you, call it in the huddle, and then run. Well, that play call is just getting in there too late. And it's not every time, but a handful of times, a half is too many. And you don't see Tom Brady was that successful because they didn't have those things happening. It was well-oiled and dialed in, and we just don't have it.
Here's what I'll say. I don't know how much of that happens during the actual drive. Like, oh, they're playing, like it might be more of like, okay, next drive, we're going to do more of this because they're playing off, or we're going to maybe take more deep shots because they're playing press, different things like that. I don't know. Maybe some of it is happening within the play, but I don't know. I just kind of think Kevin O'Connell's not getting into a groove play calling wise. I still feel like there's a lack of identity. I think Tony mentioned that last week. Lack of identity on offense. Like Kirk Cousins, as you saw the stats down here, like he threw for under 150 yards today. Like the first 3 weeks, he was over 300 every week. So now we're back to the running game. And I'm not saying you can't like mix it up and there are going to be games when you run the ball more. There are going to be games when you pass the ball more. But I think maybe it's kind of throwing O'Connell out of rhythm, play calling wise, and also, again, execution. Great play call, could be a great play call, and nope, didn't execute it. Again, I'm not going to try and be the Kevin O'Connell defender to death, but, I think there is something to be said about the quarterback not being able to make the play, or receivers not running the right route or not getting separation, the running back not picking the right hole, the offensive lineman not protecting, not creating the holes for the running back. So lots goes into it. One
pushback I have on it not being O'Connell or the offense on that pick, yes, that ball should have never been thrown, or if it was, it should have been immediately. And if you didn't see it immediately, it should have never been thrown. Yes.
Yeah.
But when they motioned a third receiver over to that group, and then every one of their routes were in the same general area. So all the defenders are in the same general area. So if you watch that defender carries off the first receiver through and then breaks on that under route because it was late. Well, if there isn't that many receivers in the area, the defenders can't do that. They have to be true to their position. And we motioned over more stuff in the way. And I didn't like it even prior to what are we doing here? And then they all ran to that side of the end zone. And either somebody ran the wrong route, or it's just, to me, poorly designed. as a receiver, you're never supposed to have more than one in an area, right? Because you're just bringing the defense in, and we had 3.
Yeah, I think Justin Jefferson was like he was starting out on that third of the field, and then he was going to cut inside, and it looked like he was going to have room. Obviously, this was after the ball was thrown, but I think they were trying to, kind of, I don't know, how do you want to say it? Kind of like the illusion of complexity, which we heard about coming in. It's like, all right, well, they got 3 wide receivers lined up to this side, so probably going to throw to this side. Oh, well, wait a minute, he's running in here. But yeah, I don't totally disagree with that. I didn't, based on the routes that we saw, wasn't a great play call on that particular play.
And it did look like Hawkinson would have been in there for a possible touchdown. If you look at it after the ball's thrown, he really did develop into the only open spot in that zone. But obviously, it's too late to see that. But
yep. So yeah. But anyways, so yeah, lots of lack of execution from the offense today. Mike and I were talking before Tony got to our green room, so to speak. We were talking about how well the defense played today. The defense allowed 6 points. They allowed 6 points today because the pick 6 was the Panthers defense. And so 6 total points the Vikings defense allowed. Yes, they gave up some yards, which we kind of knew would be the case, but they played a lot of bend, don't break defense, and that was good enough to win today. And give credit, as you're seeing these stats scroll by, Harrison Smith, 3 sacks today. And I think two of them were on that final drive, or maybe all 3 of them were on that final drive. But just a monster performance from him. And I see Gabe Henderson, who I met last week, by the way, from the Vikings Entertainment Network. He tweeted out, Marcus Davenport has made a huge difference for the Vikings defense today. And that is very true. Like, even when he wasn't necessarily getting the tackle or getting the sack, which he did have a sack today, he was causing havoc in the backfield for Bryce Young, for the running backs. So again, really nice to have him in there. Now, please, as I tweeted out on our Skol Purple podcast Twitter account, please, Marcus, stay healthy, please. I know he's got a ton of control over that. So, but no, if he can stay healthy, that's huge for the defensive line that sorely needs another player other than Danielle Hunter to step up and make some plays. And he did that today.
Well, here's the other thing, Carson. You, myself, and Drew, who we had on earlier this week for our Panthers preview show. I talked about how at the time it looked like Dalton was going to be the starter for Carolina today. Obviously that changed, and then Bryce Young ended up being the starter. But at the time I said it's probably a good thing for the Panthers that Dalton's going to be the starter, not necessarily because I thought he would be some upgrade over Young. It's just that we know how much Brian Flores likes to bring the heat and how much pressure he's going to put on that rookie quarterback. And at times, Young was able to kind of slither through and make some plays. But we really wore him down that second half. I mean, you could see it starting to take a toll, and them coming from all different angles. And like I said, I think that's been the weird thing about this year so far is that when we've seen splashy plays, they're rarely coming from the offense this year. I mean, I know we had the big, scoop and score. So I'm not saying they're necessarily translating into touchdowns, but, big sacks, big hits. It just feels like we're so used to the offense being kind of the highlight machine of this team. I mean, this year has been, I don't want to say it's more the defense, but there hasn't been as many lowlights on the defense. I can tell you that much. So, take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Caleb Evans, before I let you go, Mike, Caleb Evans, I'm still Still not sold on him.
Longer
And
than
Byron Murphy, after having 2 really pretty solid games, I don't know total what his grade will be from PFF, but that hold on that Carolina drive earlier in the game, that was brutal. But anyways, yeah. Anyways, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Marcus Davenport, I think, is a huge addition. Obviously, you're a little bit wary of him coming in and expecting him to play a pivotal part in the defense, but because of his history, had 0 sacks last year or whatever, and he's kind of, and the media's got him looking like a bad guy, a villain, because of some of his comments, because he's just tired of hearing about his health, so he's probably just annoyed. But I know he's an incredible athlete. Watching him at where was he? Saints?
Yeah, Saints. Yeah.
And he looked, to be honest, lighter and more explosive today than I've ever seen him. Prior to this, he would look more like a stereotypical defensive end, but you could see the outside linebacker in him today. And he played really well, and I think that energized the rest of the defensive line too. They started off rough, getting their nose kicked in again and again, and it looked like they drew a line in the sand and said, we're not going to get ran over by Chuba Hubbard and a 5'9" quarterback. We have to put a stop to this. This is our season. And I think that's where Harrison Smith came in, and he said, I'm going to do what I do. You play this, I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to take these. I know some of those blitzes were not planned for him. That's typical. He sees it, and he's going to go for it because he knows, nobody's going to come into my zone anyways. Most likely, I'm going to go for it. And it felt like he was back after a year and 3 games, back to playing typical Harrison Smith type of stuff. So yeah. I think having a little bit better defensive power there with Davenport made the defense have a little bit more. They covered a little bit more and allowed for the D-line to get there. We didn't just try to get there with blitzes. We did cover a little bit more, and we were able to get there with the defensive line when we haven't been able to all year.
Sure. Yeah. I don't disagree.
Yeah. Tony, did you have anything you wanted to add there?
No, I don't. I thought that was all. I agree with everything that you said. I mean, I thought Harrison Smith looked amped up. I thought that defense just looked. I mean, I think the optimal word there that you used, Mike, is energized. I mean, they looked like they had an edge, especially in the second half. But I mean, there were moments, obviously, in the first half. But overall, again, the defense, they look like they're out to lay a hit on somebody. I know that you were a little like, with the Caleb Evans. I mean, I think I know he had the 1 penalty, but that was more of a savvy vet move there. If you actually watch the replay, which, by the way, can I just say this? I know it's 2 0-3 teams, but boy, we definitely got the collective 0-6 broadcast crew today, because these announcers were like, I'm like, what is this? These
number guys... 21 with the deflection.
Yeah, I mean, because and the reason why it reminded me to bring that up was that play in particular where he got PI there. While I understand why he got PI, because it looked like he should have gotten PI, that was more of a savvy vet move where he had his arm in there and the receiver actually pulled him in to him. So he was creating the PI. I'm not going to obviously get on a Caleb Evans last week for the fluky, almost get an interception, bounce off my helmet into the guy's arms. I mean, that's like, you do that 100 times, the guy probably, it's an incompletion 98 times, right? So, it is what it is. I'd say for the most part, well, I'm not saying he's going to be like, the next Revis Island. I've been pretty happy with Evans so far, at least from what we expected. I think most of us expected, like, hey, he might be able to, like, be serviceable. I think there have been moments where he's been more than serviceable. And he's had to go up against some pretty tough receivers, especially like that Buccaneers game I mean, you choose. He's either going to go against Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. Neither one of those are going to be easy matchups. And
or last
Evans,
week with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams
It-
before the injury.
exactly. And he's the one that broke Mike Williams' leg. No, I'm just kidding. He did. He just Nancy Kerrigan it. I don't know if you saw that, but he didn't do that. I'm kidding.
R.I.P. in peace.
Yeah, that's right. Now playing corner, Tanya Harding.
Why?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was. So anyway, I'm not out on Evans. I think the person that you did mention, though, who is maybe underperforming where I thought they'd be, is a little bit of Murphy the last 2 weeks. Obviously, we don't need to talk about the Keenan Allen game, but today, again, it's like, I understand Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is a heck of a receiver, and he's a very crafty veteran. Who's he got this week? DJ Chark? Like, I mean, Adam Thielen, and I know we all love Adam, but that was another thing with the announcers today, because they just shut up about the Thielen thing. They were really missing. They've really been missing Adam Thielen. I'm just like, no, we haven't. We've been missing.
Just like we've been missing Dalvin Cook.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe in the community we're missing him because he has a great golf outing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And he seems like a great guy.
Yeah.
But as far as his play on the field, no.
Did you see him at the end of the game, by the way? He was going up to the referee saying, that is intentional grounding. He wasn't outside the pocket. He wanted to win so bad. He wanted to beat the Vikings so badly. I was saying he should have just went down. Like, right when he takes the snap, why don't you go down? Why do you even throw it?
Well, we don't trust him to move. We don't trust him to move.
Well, we trusted him to move outside the pocket.
I will say this. I was a little.
I know Kevin O'Connell probably told him to throw it out of bounds, but I'm just saying, like,
I was waiting.
If I'm the coach in that situation, I'm telling my quarterback, take the snap, drop back a couple of steps, make sure clock's at zeros, take a knee, give yourself up.
Yeah, well, I was a little worried about what was going to happen there at the end. Not that they were going to like make a mistake with the play, meaning like, there was going to be an interception or fumble. But my worry was, and this is just me. No, I mean, I guess I've always been under the impression, and this is where I got a little lesson today, that the game can't end on a turnover on downs, like on possession, because to me that's where I was like, like I don't. you see what I'm saying? Because technically we turned it over on downs. Yeah, well, clearly because the game was over. But that's why I was like, what are we doing? Like I didn't. And boy, I was just waiting for that, and I'm glad I was proven wrong. Because could you imagine? That would have been. No, we didn't. We decided not to punt. We just gave him the ball at the 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
My goodness.
No, thankfully that's not true. It's anyway. I'm gonna stay out of politics. I was gonna go in a political direction.
Oh,
but
a lot of people are
I'll save that for our post-show conversation.
A lot of people are saying that's illegal. Anyway, sorry.
But yes, the Vikings get the first win of the season, 21-13 over the Panthers. Anything else that anybody wants to talk about before we get into our game balls here?
No, I mean, I'm good. I'm excited about getting a dub finally, 1-3. And I know we'll talk about it later in the week, but it's going to be a tough matchup on Sunday, where the KC game is going to be a wild one. But for now, we get to revel in the win. So
we get to revel in Steggy with his
that's right.
Self.
Oh, it wasn't me. I didn't do that.
Oh, you didn't do that?
Nope,
that's
not
his,
me.
That's his handler. His handler's out there doing
is that your wife, or is it your son, or your daughter?
That's a lot of people are saying.
I'm not. I didn't say it. A lot of people are saying it.
That's right.
Oh man, yeah, that's all hail Steggy. Wow,
Yeah.
I wonder how much money you paid someone to do that for you, but
It was a 1/100th of a Bitcoin.
that's
I'm
right.
kidding.
A small loan of $1 million.
It's 3,000 Dogecoins.
All right. Well, let's get to game balls here, gentlemen. I'm going to go first because I like to budge in front
No
of people.
fair.
Uh,
No Bitcoin for you.
I'm gonna go ahead and give 2 game balls today, and I'm gonna go and give it to number 1, Harrison Smith. Got to give it to my boy Harrison Smith. It's the only jersey I have, even though I don't know where it is. That's another story. Anyways, Harrison Smith, one of my game balls, and my other game ball. You know what? I'm gonna go with Marcus Davenport. Give it to Marcus Davenport. I'll let somebody get DJ Wanham. But those are my 2 game balls today. JJ played pretty well. 2 touchdowns, obviously, but was under 100 yards today for the first time. But I also think that was partly game flow. He could have probably broken 100 yards if the Vikings needed him to, anyways. But all right, let's go to Tony. What do you got for your game ball? Or game balls, I should say.
I'll go. I'll do the 2-piece. I'll take the low-hanging fruit, but then I think I got one that maybe somebody else wasn't going to take. So yeah, of course we got to give Wanham at least one, right? Because I mean, he did the scoop and score, baby. I mean that certainly turned the game around. Got me out of the bikini with the kitchen knives. That's for sure. So Wanham gets one of my game balls.
Thank the Lord.
Second game ball for me goes to Cam Akers.
Yeah,
I thought that Cam Akers came in and looked serviceable. And you know what? Look, this is the thing, guys. I think we saw a little bit more of a motivated Madison because of it. So those 2 guys.
So that's why he's been so good the last 2 weeks.
I'm just saying, iron sharpens iron, right? So
that's
these
right.
guys pushing each other, I think, is going to help this run game. And look, that's 2 weeks in a row now where this run game has looked at least improved over the first 2 weeks. So Cam Akers, Wanham, there you go.
Absolutely. Mike, who you got?
Well, you guys covered everybody I even wrote down. My first were Marcus Davenport and Harrison Smith. You took them, and then I'm like, I think I'm gonna go with Cam Akers. But I think it's
the other running back. Why don't you?
Well, I won't yet. He has to earn my trust back. I gave him props week 1, and then he just looked like crap for 2 weeks or whatever. I don't know what happened, but he's got to earn it. And early in the game, Madison looked like he was going to fumble it again, trying to get that 1 extra yard while he's going down. And I'm like, come on, stop giving him the ball. And I know he's good, but I think overall it's just the run game, offensive line, the run game. They're getting a push off of the line. They trust that their backs are going to hit the hole, so they're giving more effort. It happens all the time, every single week in the NFL. The offensive line, when they feel that their run blocking is hard and physical, and you don't want to do it if it's worthless. Every time that running back runs into your butt, you're like, why do I even do this? Oh, it's Madison back there or whoever back there. I'm not going to try because he's not going to make it worth anything for me. So I'm going the O-line in the run game. Pass games was a little rough, pass protection, but O-line, I'll give it to him in the run game. It was. In past 2 weeks have been really good. And I got to go Harrison Smith still. So he gets 2 game balls. You can't pass him up. Yep. I think he really changed that young defensive backfield. He showed them how to play the game today. And I think it'll rub off onto them, and it'll be a good thing.
Yep.
Well, I'd say bonus game ball for maybe all of us here at the Skol Purple Podcast goes to all the Vikings fans that showed up in Charlotte.
That was awesome.
0-3. 0-3 ball club, and we're still traveling well. So I would say
I bet most of those people already bought their tickets before the season, but still, they showed up.
Like they bought them today.
You're right. You're like, you know what? They bought them at halftime. They showed
Yeah.
up. They got them scalped, cheapos at halftime. And they showed up for the second half.
That's
for
right.
The changing of the tide for the entire season.
There you
And
go.
as we know, big
Super Bowl
boats
bound
need
now, baby.
tides.
Super Bowl bound. Skol to the bowl, as JJ Vikings said. Skol to the bowl. Skol to the bowl. Soda 612, by the way, he chimed in a little while ago. This has been a while ago, but we will beat the Chiefs next week. So before we end here, obviously we'll try and have a Chiefs preview, which we need to try and find a guest for, hopefully. But Tony, are you buying this? Are you buying or selling? Let's play that game. Buy, selling, or I don't know. What's the third thing?
Bargaining.
There's another thing.
No, just kidding.
Yeah, bargaining.
Yeah.
There's like three things. But anyways, are you buying or selling this idea that we're going to beat the Chiefs?
I mean, if I'm paying with my heart, then I buy it because, you know, it's any given Sunday. It's at US Bank Stadium. If I'm buying with actual money, yeah, I'm selling. Because the Vikings have shown me no reason to think that they wouldn't lose against Kansas City. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to lose against Kansas City. Keep in mind, everybody and their mom and Taylor Swift is going to think that we are going to lose to Kansas City on Sunday. In a lot of ways, as talented as the Vikings are and how Kansas City's kind of looked at times already this season. I mean, obviously they've had some good games, but against some bad teams. This is a little bit of a trap game for Kansas City if they're not careful. So could we win? Of course we could. Do I expect us to win? Probably not. But I've seen much crazier things happen.
So you're telling me there's a chance. All right. Mike, are you buying or selling it?
As the self-proclaimed most optimistic of the group, it's an easy win for us. I mean,
all right.
I don't know what you guys. I don't know if you weren't really paying attention to the second half of this game, but that was, as I said earlier, the turning of the tides, and we're gonna ride that momentum. We just needed to overcome some of those things that we've been hampered with. Today we had multiple turnovers, multiple important penalties that we finally overcame. And that gets the monkey off of all 53 of them out there on the field and all the dozens of coaches there. And we're going back to the bank, and we're going to put it to them. We're riding the wave.
The original.
Right here. It may be
original bank.
The original bank. That wave may only be this big right now, but it's gonna build over time and be a huge wave. Yep, that's my take.
The hugest wave.
It's gonna be a tsunami, baby.
So you're buying it? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
You're buying it?
Sight unseen. I'll purchase that sucker.
Not happening. I'm selling it. True Vikings fan right here, baby.
Well, I think we're good representation.
They'll probably make it close, Tony. Just for the sake of us, you know, like today, having to make it close just to give us hope and screw it up in the end. But anyways.
Well, I think we covered all the bases. Carson is absolute no. There's me who's kind of like probably not, but maybe. And Mike's like, yeah, like who?
The Vikings,
Mahomes, who? Swifties, who?
The Vikings have not proven to me that they can take care of the ball. Therefore, until they do, I am not going to believe they can. So, 4 games in, like, oh, well, you know, it'll turn around. This luck is going to turn around for the turnovers. Yes, we overcame it today. But when you go to when you play a Kansas City team, even at home, we saw Vikings turn it over at home even in 2 games. So I'm going to say Kansas City is going to take advantage of those turnovers. And by the way, Chris Jones is a beast, is an absolute beast for that defense. So I think he's going to really give the offensive line and that interior a really rough time. But
well, this is what I'll say. And all joking aside on this one, Carson, as much as I was really, really worried about that Philadelphia line, and as much as I know we still lost that game, they did better than I thought they would. So,
True.
And that's about as good as a line as you're going to face right there with Philly.
yeah,
So if we held up long enough where we gave ourselves a shot, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But I will say Chris Jones is better than any defensive lineman Philadelphia has. I'm sorry. As good as their defensive line is as a whole, Chris Jones is better than any of those guys.
Chris
I
Jones,
believe that.
Chris Jones can't do. He's Dave Thomas from Wendy's.
Whoa!
I don't even know what that means.
I'm gonna copy.
I'm gonna that out.
I'm gonna record this clip and I'm gonna @ Chris Jones on Twitter, and he's gonna tear Kirk Cousins' head off next week.
That's right. All because of me. I'm not Dave Thomas. We actually hear him say it on the field.
I'm Kevin Hart.
Yeah, I'm not a Frosty. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
It does look like a Frosty.
Mm-hmm. I love Frosties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have a pumpkin spice one. It's delicious.
Oh, gross.
Oh, come on. Are you not
I love the total 180. It's delicious. Gross.
You're not a pumpkin spice person, huh?
Absolutely not. Nobody is until they get brainwashed in the fall to thinking this is what I should be drinking.
I want all my food to taste like a gourd. That's yeah.
He's not a white girl, so I am.
Yeah.
But
I'm a basic, No, I do like the pumpkin spice, but only like the real staple pumpkin spice thing. So I like pumpkin pie because it's just I'm fat. And then I like pumpkin spice like coffee, like that's cool. But I see pretty much anything else that's just too gross for me. Like I saw pumpkin spice toothpaste the other day.
That's get out of here. If toothpaste tastes any different than it normally does, like even bubble gum, get out of here.
Yeah, or strawberry. What is this?
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Tune in next week for more toothpaste takes on the Skol Purple podcast.
You guys ever wonder how they get the stripes to be separate? Coming out, you can squeeze the crap out of that tube, but it comes out together.
Yeah, a lot of preservatives, baby.
Separate. I don't know. Yeah. It's magic.
Some people say they like to keep them separate. I'm not saying, just a lot of people.
Okay. All right. I think we better stop while we're behind here. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to the Skol Purple podcast. Please like this video if you enjoyed this content. Subscribe and give us your thoughts about the Vikings. Where's your SkolCon ranking after this one? I'm gonna stay at a 2. I had it at a 2. I'm staying at a 2. I don't know what you guys think on this, but I'm staying at a 2. The sky is falling. Yeah, he's trying to hide. Mike?
No, I have the camera in the way. I could have just picked this up and moved it, but I'm an idiot.
Everyone is dead. The sky is falling, starting to fall apart. Everything will be okay. Low state of concern. This is based off DEF CON, if you missed our video on that earlier this week. But so I'm still at a 2. How about you guys?
I'm a 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
I'm gonna stay at a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay.
It's a young season. It's one game longer than ever. So
see, here's why I'm at a 2. I'm at a 2 because I still don't think this team is going anywhere. And to me, if you're not going anywhere, sell the farm.
Then why aren't you DEF CON or Skol 1?
because I do have confidence
In what?
in Justin Jefferson, and that is it. If we didn't have Justin Jefferson, it'd probably be a 1.
Yeah, I'm
But-
sticking at 3 just because kind of for the same reasons that you're there, Carson. It's just until we get to a point where, because see, the measure for me of success this year was never the Super Bowl. I mean,
Right.
obviously I would love for us to get to the Super Bowl every year. That's what you want. But realistically, and I mean this, like for me, it was playoffs again. So until I can see a pretty clear path, not that like it's a lock, just like until I can see a clear path to the playoffs, I'm gonna stay at 3, which is basically like things are not looking great, guys. Now if they beat Kansas City and all of a sudden we can be 2 and 3, then I'm probably gonna push myself back to 4 because it takes. I mean, that's a pretty big momentum swing, and if you can get back to 500, I mean, just things can happen. And as Mike already said, we're still relatively early in the season, so you gotta, the evidence tells me that's why I'm sticking at 3. Evidence tells me 3, but I'm willing to move depending on what this team can do.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. And if they beat Kansas City, I will go down to a 3. Yes, I will go down to a 3. I'm not totally immune.
I would probably be 4 right now if everything is going to be okay. Didn't still sound so negative. Because that's typically something, or everything will be okay. It sounds like somebody who really doesn't believe that. Everything's gonna be okay.
It's
a
like the
little
dog in
sarcasm.
it's the dog in the burning house, right? Everything is fine.
Exactly.
Everything is
Yeah.
fine.
So I'm not all the way at a 5. I'm a 4.5, just because I'm reading Skol Con 4 differently than probably most people.
We'll count for.
Mm.
Well,
I can't get that right in my head.
the way I explained it on our short video was, it's like, there's maybe 1 or 2 things that, it's all right. Everything will be okay. 1 or 2 things that could be cleaned up, but everything will be all right.
Yeah, like
that's
I'd
Still
say,
doesn't feel like confident.
no, right.
Okay.
That's why it's not supposed to be total confidence. Like there's like,
I'd say
things could start to unravel if things, anyways.
if we want to have like a control, so like a control measure for context, I would say for most of last year, I would have been at like a 4. Because as much as it would have been like, yeah, this team we're winning games, so like that's awesome. There was always that tinge of like, yeah, but we're really like eking by. Like, when is the sky gonna fall? Because it feels like we're just riding that edge. So I think that's why if I would have done this last year, it probably would have been more of a 4, which is like everything's fine, meaning we're winning games and we're gonna make the playoffs. But I've got a little demon over here that's telling me, hey, you remember all those 1-score wins? And I'm like, shut up. And then the other one says, what about DVOA?
Tony.
And I just,
Hey, Tony. Hey, Tony. Is it like that? Is that what the
a little
demon's
bit.
like?
Yeah.
Hey, Tony. You remember that? You remember that?
Yeah, except but because I'm a fat guy, it's actually the Little Caesars guy that's on my shoulder.
Pizza.
Yeah, and he's just like, dude, and he keeps flipping those pizzas, so I can't be mad at him too much.
And then who's on the other side? Is it Colonel Sanders on the other side, or
Tim Tebow?
Yeah, it's actually Dave. It's actually Dave Thomas. That's what it is.
Yeah, there you go.
That's who was talking to me earlier. Tell him Jones is like me. And then I did. And didn't make any sense, but we rolled with it.
Oh, there you go. Well, gentlemen, thanks for joining me. Everybody, like I said, go ahead and rate your Skol Con. Also, it's in the community tab if you want to comment on that there. You can do it there, or you can do it here. Your Skol Con rating for the Vikings after they improve to 1 and 3. Great timing. Thought I
One
was
and
going to get away.
sneeze.
Very nice.
One and sneeze. One and sneeze. Perfect ending to the show today.
I don't know
All
how
right.
you timed that so perfectly.
I know, right? I know. I was hoping to take another minute of no sneezes, but here we are. So, all right. Thanks everybody for watching. And as always, Skol.
Skol.
Skol.